I look around and I see this large crowd. I have mixed feelings because on one hand, it's nice to quote the immortal words of Sally Field, they like me, they really like me. On the other hand, as I see you here, it reminds me that you're not at home, answering your telephone, waiting for one of myriad callers from our headquarters to ask you vital questions like, are you very happy, somewhat happy, or not happy at all? And the election of 1800 is an instructive story. And I want to take a few minutes and just tell you a little bit about that election so that you can see the parallels. We had a sitting president, a Federalist, John Adams. His sitting vice president was the leader of the opposition party, Thomas Jefferson. And they were running in an America that was split down the middle, not simply ideologically, but geographically as well. All of Adams' support was Pennsylvania north. All of Jefferson's support was Maryland and Virginia south. There were 180 degrees of separation from the two. When it was all said and done, it was a tie. Constitution never said anything at all about running mates, so Adams and Jefferson didn't tie. Jefferson got as many votes as his running mate Burr. What was fascinating, though, was that a Federalist House of Representatives had to choose between two Jeffersonian Democrats, and at the last minute, Alexander Hamilton threw his support over to Thomas Jefferson, who became president. And the reason why the story is instructive is not only because it was an Armageddon election, with each side projecting that if the other guy wins, it's the end of the republic as we know it. But it's also instructive because Jefferson went on to deliver one of the greatest inaugural addresses in American history. We are all Federalists. We are all Democrats. Let us bind ourselves again anew upon that which we share. Let's not fight and argue about that which divides us. I'm going to just take a few minutes on the mood of the country as we are in the middle of this election cycle. This is the mood that I think that we have captured in the past year and a half and is unlikely to change by November of 2008, barring anything unforeseen. Here are 5, I think, very important points, very briefly. Number 1, serious crisis. 2 out of 3 American voters say that the country is in a serious crisis. That is about the same percentage of Americans, sometimes even more, 70%, who say that the country is headed in the wrong direction. A very important voting barometric reading. What is the basis for this serious crisis? Well, it began, as far as the American people are concerned, with Iraq, which divided the country and created a sense of anger and actual disaffection among, at the time, at least half of the country, now more than that. But now it has widened into much more than just Iraq. It has much to do with the economy and the fact that Americans are more and more feeling as if the country is headed toward a recession. It also has a lot to do with health insurance, which in many ways is the number one source of anxiety, economic anxiety, in the U.S. today. 1 out of 3 voters who have some form of employer-based health insurance, 1/3 of that group tell us that they fear losing that health insurance in the next 12 months. There's much more I can talk about, but in a nutshell, serious crisis. 2/3, to give you some historical context, the last time we saw a percentage that high was in the early to mid-1970s during the Watergate crisis. So that gives you a context of how serious this serious crisis is. Number two, in terms of the mood of the country, the center is back, the political center. That is a very, very important thing to understand. It is the political middle that gives the shape to any election. And 4 years ago, in 2004, that political middle was on sabbatical. The country broke into two warring halves, and that governed the election of 2004. The fact that there was no center left, that as early as March of 2004, the United States, of likely voters, only 5% had not chosen a candidate yet. Usually, in March of an election year, we have 15, 18, 20% who are undecided. That was then. Today, the American people are identifying more with the middle, with the center. When we ask them, what are you looking for in the next president of the United States, they tell us the following. Number one, they want a competent manager. Number two, they're telling us they want someone who can work across the aisle with the opposition and get the people's business done. Number three, they want someone who can command the military. And number four, they're telling us they want someone with strong personal values. And I hasten to add, personal values, not strong Christian values. That came in last in our list. And so very importantly, none of those four characteristics that they are looking for are ideological this time around. They are looking for a problem solver, a manager, an administrator, someone who can get the job done.